a pretty girl, and she got gritty plans. So get out the way.
Welcome to the Gritty Mamas podcast. We are here again at Sundara Studios with Carly Tull and Whitney White. Today we have a new background for you. If you guys are watching on YouTube, we apologize for last week. This takes a lot of work, a lot of wiring, a lot of inputs and outputs and plugging.
Well,
in.
let's pause and say they put this together for us.
Yes, and we
This
just have sat here watching them.
They had the equipment and they wanted to use it, but like us asking was like, okay, I guess we'll put it up, right? So
but we did not expect this
for us. Oh, it's like light years better than Julie and I ever. We just wanted the space to record. We're like, hey, can we hide in one of your patient rooms and film? And they were like, actually, and then they unbox all this stuff. But putting it together is, it looks like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, we've got 5 cameras.
It's a project for Mark.
Labor of love. And a projector screen. Last week we had hot air balloons. This week,
and it was on the wall.
Yes, it was just projecting on the white wall.
We have a screen
with looks like a luxurious hotel. I mean, if you guys are watching, if you're just listening, pop on to Gritty or the Julie Jeppson YouTube page, Gritty Mamas. I think it'll pull it up with both, and you can see what we're talking about. We got the lights. We've got
it's a vibe.
Crystal ball here. It is a vibe.
When the high school kids say it's a vibe, like this is what they mean. It's a vibe.
It really is.
Well,
LED lights.
Here's the thing, guys. Mark did this because he's that type of guy. He wants to build you up. We talked about amplifier, right?
Yes.
He wants to build your podcast up so much. He wanted you to have all the best. I'm not even joking. That's how he is.
It's so sweet. So he has spent time, his own precious time, getting everything on and working. And sometimes there's kinks, and so we figure them out. And
and by we mean we hang out and we have a good time and we
don't do anything.
Well, we watch Mark and say, what can we do? And he's like, it's too hard to explain.
Yeah. So our thanks to Mark,
who will also edit this.
Yes.
So Mark, thank you.
So yes, welcome to the podcast today. It's gorgeous in here. We're going to give another update on some of the fun things happening in my life. We should do an update on yours too. Anything exciting going on in your life?
I have a kid leaving for a mission.
Yes.
But that's going to be, it's a little bit down the road. We're talking a few.
Do you want to announce where she's going?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. I will say that is where my mom and dad were mission presidents. She will have some serious culture shock, which is great. There's like 50
she's looking forward to it.
Yeah. Foods and languages. She'll have all of it.
She's going to love it. And I am just so grateful that she's staying in the States. Like, so grateful.
Is she excited about it?
She is. Yeah. She really wanted to use her French because she did.
She will.
All right. Well, and that's what I've heard is that there's a lot of French speakers there, but there's 5 languages in the mission and that's not one of them. But so my theory, we'll see if it proves correct, is that they called her to speak Spanish knowing that she had French as well. So you can learn Romance.
She's Spanish speaking?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was a language.
Yeah. So it's Spanish speaking. And she's already taking some lessons and getting excited about it. And she's like, I already know how to conjugate all this stuff because she did French, right? But she's like, so this is great. I'm speaking Spanish with a French-American accent. Like,
oh, it's going to be awesome.
It's
a ton.
She's trunky at school. She's excited.
When does she leave?
So home MTC is May 6th, I think.
So will she be graduated yet?
No,
this is
college.
She's in college, yeah. Because girls can leave. My senior niece is leaving, and she's a senior. She leaves, right after she graduates.
I'm super grateful that she did a year of college.
Yeah.
For her, everybody's different, but for her getting out of the house and being on her own for a year was real good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm stoked for
fun.
You'll be happy to know, as I announced in the last podcast, I said, maybe by the time you hear this, I will be puppy free. So we did finally sell sweet little Dasher. So the exciting thing, I don't know if I announced this, but I have 3 of the puppies coming back.
Yeah.
I did. For spring break. So we get to see those. A lot of be fun.
And the thing about the one that sold Dasher, the last one, they kept it to Dash. And I think that's so cute.
His name is Dash.
So cute.
So cute. And I am on YouTube on my vlog, The Big Family Jewels, you will see the footage of when she tells her kids that
it's super sweet
that they're going to keep him. And anyway, so that's been exciting. And with that, because we charged for these puppies, we planned a trip and And I announced that to my kids that we're going to go on a fun cruise to Mexico.
And
And
they were so stoked.
they go to Disneyland and they're just screaming. So that was fun. And then an update with court is not much. We just spent hours preparing a global resolution or global settlement. So it's kind of a take it or leave it thing. Like you create like, okay, this is what we're going to offer for alimony. Again, I mean, even though we've already gotten the ruling, we're going to offer this for alimony. We're going to offer this many years for or this, for equity, how much he's going to have to pay or how much or how long it's going to be. Anyway, all the things. And you say basically you take the whole thing or you get none of it. And so we'll see if they agree to that.
Do they have any like power to change things? Can
they can just say, we received this and we're going to change the alimony to this number instead. So
they can bargain a little
yeah,
bit.
that's all it is going back and forth.
Okay.
Interesting. So, and then if I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Because my attorney's like, I was willing to give up some things.
Mm-hmm.
And he messaged me and said, don't you dare.
Don't you dare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to ever collect it anyway.
Yeah.
And he said, it doesn't matter. Like you will still, it's stipulated to, it is agreed upon. It is an order of the court and it will follow him.
Yep, it will.
Yeah. So, I mean, Nayla's going to be 18 in 13 years. So, and that's just child support, not alimony.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's kind of nice to say. So worked on that, but that was like a full-time job just because when my attorney emails me or texts me or calls me, I have to drop everything I'm doing because I'm like, he's hot right now. He's hot. He's on my case.
Yeah, that's it. He's on your case, not on 10 others.
He's paying attention right this second.
So I dropped everything and every question he's emailing me, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, wait for the next inbox. Because as soon as I stepped away and he was waiting for an answer, like, okay, now tell me how much was paid between April of 2022. I mean, it's giving me these dates where I have to go in and filter and be like, oh my gosh, okay, where's my Venmo? What was paid from March of 2023 to January of 2024? And I have to like search it and I'm like,
calculate it out.
But the minute I walked away to go do something else, he just made the call for me. Like, was like, all right, I'm just going to assume that it was this. And it was fine. Like he has my best interest, but I was like, I just wanted to be efficient and give every single
exact
answers. But he was like, I'm just going to assume that this is what it was because he needed to move.
Yeah.
And get on to his next
And
phase.
you're paying him like by the minute.
So I guess that would be some advice that I had for any other women that are in with lawyers, because you want to believe that you're their only case.
Yeah.
And you are not.
Right.
And they're only going to work on your case. Like there were many times where I would send them emails and you do not hear back.
Yep.
And it's mostly because it's not important.
Yep.
Is it as important as it is to you because it is your life. They are working on a current deadline that needs to be taken care of right then. Put a fire out that it needs to be put out right then and there on someone else's case. And it sucks because I want my answer now.
Yep.
So when he emailed me, I was like, oh, everybody, leave me alone. And I just was staring. And then so there was that. But we're here with Whitney tonight. Focus is Whitney. All right. We have a babysitter lined up. So we've got to make haste and take advantage of this time. Again, we wanted to talk about kind of getting back to the roots of gritty mamas and how women and mothers and girls like I wanted to focus on how we get through hard things and it makes us resilient and it makes us strong and brave and have courage. I wanted to get back to that. And
you want to tell other people's stories and how they are gritty.
Yes. Thank you for saying that what I could not say because for so long I had the gag order. I was like, well, I might as well highlight other women who have done hard things and been through tough things. And sometimes, Whitney said, I think that my story's too heavy. And I was like, no, but this is what people need to hear, that she has gone through something hard and devastating.
Here's the thing about Whitney, and I was telling her this, like, you have to know how deep the sorrow goes to feel the amplified joy. Like, you have to know the bitter to know the sweet. And I love Whitney's story, which is, I mean, you're not dead. Your story's not over. Like, your story, it's still continuing. So far, right?
But it started
as it is
so much sooner than so many of our own.
Oh,
struggles.
And there's so much depth there. But what I love is, like, a lot of people would have a story like hers and either not share it or use it as a reason to have subpar choices and a subpar outcome. And
use it as an excuse.
Right. And she is like amplifying us, right? And so I love her story of grit because you see a lot of us when we're being made into gritty women, we can't see the joyful part that Whitney has experienced. And honestly, I mean, I wasn't there, but if I talked to Mark and people along the way, I'd say that you were still joyful in those moments because you have this radiating happiness, even though things suck. You also find the joy somewhere, right?
It's a gift.
And yeah, it's a gift. And it's, I think you can learn it. I think that a joy as resilient as yours is a gift, but I do think that people can learn it. I don't think that if you don't have it yet, you can't get it. Yeah. But I think people need something demonstrable. And I think that Whitney's story is, if we can articulate it correctly and in a way that is like accessible and within reach to people, that there are lots of gritty people that you don't know how gritty they are, and you hit the bottom and it doesn't matter. Like you just use it and it's like you like hit the bottom and then you're like, okay, and you use it for fuel. That's what I mean. It's it's fuel. It's fuel for Whitney's fire, and so I think it's important to tell.
Yeah, that reminds me of two stories. Remind me about Michael Phelps and my brother-in-law if I forget, because I know myself and I'll forget what I was talking about. But first of all, Michael Phelps, it's one of my favorite Olympic stories, is when he is doing his, getting his first record of gold medals won. And I don't know if you guys watched this when he went against the French, the relay. I watch it all the time when I show my kids because the French said, the Americans were going to smash them. And that was fuel for Michael Phelps. Yeah. Because
don't tell him he can't do it.
Yes. Like it was like, and I always use this, and maybe some of you will after hearing this, but when my kids are like, I can't do it, I'm like, you need to get Phelped. Like, I'm going to Phelp you right now.
There's another.
Yes. I'm going to Phelp you. You got to Phelp yourself up. And they're like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Because
Carly crying.
Do we need to?
You can't make me laugh like that when my
throat starts fighting.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, he heard the French say we're going to smash the Americans, and it was fuel. And they won by like what, a millisecond. But who they?
The
Americans.
They did. Okay.
They won the relay. So it was the first swimmer does the butterfly, second swimmer does freestyle, third swimmer does backstroke, fourth swimmer does, I don't even know what it was. But they won, and the celebration, I was just like goosebumps all over my body because they were the underdogs. The Americans were the underdogs. And then when you were talking about being able to train your brain to have what she has naturally, my brother-in-law served his mission in Brazil, and it sucked. I mean, third world countries, it is not fun. You are first of all, the toilets, right? We could just talk about the toilets for an hour. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I preferred going to the bathroom in the jungle than people's toilets.
Yeah.
The water, I got kidney stones because I refused to drink the water, and then quickly learned that I was either going to have kidney stones or drink the worms in the water. And I was eating those worms. Like I drink and drink and that's why I have parasites. I don't get sick like on rides anymore because my parasites like eat all the bugs, the motion.
They're your friends.
Yes. So anyway, and the walking and the smells, and you'll see people going to the bathroom right in front of your face, and the drunks, like it's just different in a third world country. And he was like, well, I can either complain about this and complain and send myself home, or I can say, I love walking in 108-degree weather. I love like worms in my soup. I love when people, reject me at the door and call me, names. I love when women are possessed and they take my tie and they wrap it around my neck and try to choke me.
Ooh.
I love it.
Who doesn't love that?
So anyway, all that to say is that he taught himself and trained himself to be positive throughout it. So,
and it worked.
Yes, it did. He served a faithful mission and has been successful through his whole life. And that is exactly what Whitney does. So Whitney, let's start.
Wait, one more before we introduce Whitney again. You brought up the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I have to tell this one that I learned that I think could be Whitney in some aspects. There was a gal, her name is Esther, like in the scriptures. Mm-hmm. And she did a different event in the Olympics. And she just was like, hey, I want to try, this is the Winter Olympics. And it's like, I don't know all of the terms, but it's some sort of skiing down the mountain.
That's not winter.
Winter, yeah. And like she decided, I've already done my event. I don't even know how she did in her own event, but she borrowed somebody's, was it skis or snowboarding? Doesn't matter. She borrowed somebody else's equipment, and towards the end of the event is like, I'm going to go try it. You guys, at the bottom of the ski hill, the people who were already like first, second place, they're already taking pictures and congratulating each other. And then this like unknown Esther from some other country that nobody's ever heard of that doesn't ski this event gets gold.
Jeez.
And everybody's just like, what? And her coaches, they're like, you won. And she just, the look on her face, like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I won? But she just is like, I wanted to, so I did. I just did it. And I think that's Whitney. She's like, I want to do all of these things. Whitney has experience in so many things. And she's just like, I'm going to try it and I'm going to get gold.
Yes, maybe the way we should bring her in is tell him how you just wanted to own the restaurant. Yeah. That's because that is totally your personality.
Great segue. I've been married multiple times in my life, twice, divorced twice, but my second husband wanted me to be a small town waitress, which was totally cool.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, and it was cool with you?
It was cool with me. I also wanted to own the restaurant. And that's why we didn't work out ultimately. I have an entrepreneurial mind.
You were like, okay, I'll go be a waitress and I'll also buy the restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. As long as I can own it, I'll waitress.
I was going to say, how about you be the dishwasher and I'll own the restaurant?
Exactly. Here's the thing. I'll be the dishwasher. I'll be the waitress. You can also help me, whatever you want to do. I don't care.
But I will own it.
I just want something that's my own.
Yes.
You know, something that
You're in charge of.
Yeah, but something that I can work towards. I have to work for a dream. Call me a dreamer, call me a visionary. I did
not anymore because you got it done. Like we're in this beautiful building.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, we're not done. You got more.
Well, I got big dreams.
My goodness.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah.
So he has this whole segment in one of his comedy skits where he talks about being a dreamer. And it puts me to tears because it is.
Wait, he's supposed to be making you laugh.
I know. That's what's so intense. He's supposed to be making you laugh, but instead he's invoking emotion from you that is so real. And he talks about his struggle through his career and how he just, it wasn't like a Martin Luther King, I have a dream. It was like, I just felt this pull, right? And so my story is one of the Golden Buddha. And if you watched that YouTube video I told you about, it's called Finding Joe. It's 121 minutes on YouTube, so look it up. It is so good. It is about finding your bliss in life. And I saw that video. It was right out of college, 2012 for me.
Oh, so this isn't a recent find that you have.
No, I watch it 2 times a year since 2012.
Why is
And
it called Finding Joe?
because it's all about the philosopher called Joseph Campbell.
Okay.
And he studied what's called the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is something he studied through mythological texts, through earth stories, through biblical texts. He studied and analyzed like King Arthur at the Round Table. He took all these stories and he put it into like this analysis, right, of the human adventure, so to speak. You start somewhere. It's in every story.
He's like finding common themes and all.
Yes, common themes,
Yeah.
common cycles of the human existence, right? So you start out, you're born, then you go through trials, and then you learn from your trials. You come back and you tell the story. So in this video, they start out the very beginning talking about the Golden Buddha. And the Golden Buddha is literally like for 100 years, this monastery had this beautiful statue of a Golden Buddha. They were pillaged by raiders. And so they covered the Buddha with mud and grime and whatever and just caked the thing. And then they left the monastery for 100 years. And then when they came back, there was a monk praying to this, what looked like a stone Buddha. And he looked down, he saw something shiny and he saw something gold underneath there. And he's like, what? So he started chipping away at it. And he's like, oh my gosh, there's gold under here. So he goes running back down to the monastery and was like, the Buddha's gold, the Buddha's gold. And so they started chipping away and they figured out the Buddha was golden the whole time, right? The reason I love it so much is because I think about my life a lot in that story where my starting out childhood, we can say boohoo childhood trauma, but it truly was traumatic from the start.
When you were born, your parents were married or no?
They were married. And then my mom left my dad when I was 7 for a woman. And we went through, like you talk about women in court, right?
Yeah.
It was the opposite for my dad. My dad was in your position. And my mom was in the petitioner's position.
And that's why they call it protective parent.
Right.
Because it's not always the mom being screwed over.
Exactly.
It is the dad sometimes.
And in this story, it was definitely my dad's story.
Yeah.
And he fought hard for us kids, and the court still ruled in her favor. And even though there's a lot of issues there. And so anyway.
There's 3 of you or 4?
3 of us.
3. Okay.
Me and my 2 younger sisters. But so going back to this golden Buddha thing, my whole life, I've been caking that gold underneath, right? So I was always kind of a stockier kid. So I think we talked about in the last podcast, I was 335 pounds. I mean, I've always been athletic, but I've always struggled with my weight. So I've had that where I had a mother who told me I was fat and would make us, the second
She did not.
Yes, the second we'd get home from school, she'd make us go run.
No,
A few miles every single day. And that was since I was 11 years old.
All 3 of you girls?
Yeah, all 3 of us. And all 3 of me, so me and my siblings, we all have body image stuff,
Of course we do.
So there was that. She would specifically not keep foods in the house so that we wouldn't eat or lock the pantry, things like that, right? So there's some food trauma there too that I've had to really unwind. And that's a part of my weight loss journey.
Were your sisters like prone to weight gain?
Oh yeah, all of us.
All of you. Okay.
Every
Wait.
single one of us.
Is your mom?
No, she's pretty stick skinny.
Like
She was a
that?
marathon runner. My dad's a tall guy, 6'4", kind of stockier build. It comes from his side of the
Yeah,
family.
it's called genetics, for heaven's sake.
So I was a stockier kid. I was told I was overweight, and there's all these things, right? All this mud that gets caked on. And not only that, but when you're raised in Utah by a lesbian mother, you're not Mormon.
Socially, that would be so hard.
It was like everyone else around you is LDS, and that's like suicide for a kid who's not
Especially
Mormon.
the part of Utah that you were raised in.
Yes. And that was hard, right? So talk about more layers caked on, right? For a kid who's just wanting to be friends with people who won't be allowed to hang out with other kids because their mom's gay, right? And so then fast forward, as a teenager, I go through this very traumatic experience where I had to become an emancipated minor and live on my own starting at 16 years old, paying rent in a basement apartment, night manager of the very first Costa Vida at American Fork.
So go back for maybe younger listeners. What is an emancipated? I mean, I understand you're on your own, but did you have to file something to become freed
That's
from
a
a
legal thing.
Both parents had to agree that I could live on my own.
How did you get your mom to agree to that?
She didn't want me anymore.
Oh,
What about your dad?
She told me, I won't quote the exact words for the sake of the F word, but she told me that I was an F up and that I would never amount to anything and get knocked up as a teenager, like all kinds of really horrid stuff, right? My dad was an athletic director in Ephraim, Utah, so he was pretty far removed. And I was on track for a tennis scholarship at Utah. Well, I didn't know at Utah State at the time, but I was one of the top junior tennis players here in Utah. And so I didn't want to go to a different high school.
Yeah.
Manti High. There's nothing wrong with Manti High, but it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
You don't get as recognized.
You probably still had friends.
you
where
wanted
you
to
were.
be recruited.
I had friends where I was, I learned from an early age not to let the bullying get to me. So I remember one time it like bothered me, and then I was like, I was young. I was maybe like 10 years old, and I was like, I'm not going to let that bother me anymore.
Good for
You
you.
know? And so then from that point, I was like, oh yeah, you have a problem with my mom being gay? Well, that's a you thing. That's not a me thing, And so anyway,
Mature for a
But
10-year-old.
That is,
yeah, I had to learn that very young.
we all have to do it at some point in our life, right? I was just talking to my kids about that. It doesn't matter where you are, what you believe, what you look like. At some point, you have to decide, I don't care what these people think anymore. And you learned it young enough to like have it work for you.
Yeah.
It happens to me, like mine is not even near your example, but when the crap hit the fan and the petitioner posted, Julie and I are separating. It is with sadness that she will always be the mother of my children. Made it look like it was amicable, made it look like it was agreed upon. And it was a complete surprise to me, right? You guys have heard the story 100 times, but that is when, he told me to be quiet and not to say anything. And then he blows up social media and my phone was ringing off the hook. People are coming to my door. I put a note on my door that said, no visitors, please. Because it was
Really?
It did, because there was that many.
Like your physical home, your
Yes.
door. People walk up, they go to knock.
Yes.
There's no.
Yeah.
What did they want to know? Well,
they would be maybe deliver something like, here's some cookies. We're so sorry. Like that you're divorced. I was like, I don't even know what's going on then. But I couldn't get anything done.
Right.
Because anyway, I was managing because my kids were getting comments from kids, everybody, it was on social media.
It was very
So
public.
I was, what's the word? Just putting out fires. I was trying to.
You were inundated.
Yeah, but I was trying to manage the chaos, so yeah, I put the note on the door. But my point behind all of this is that like the next day was Sunday. And I was like, do I go to church? And like face the music of everyone coming up to me saying,
Face the hymns.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, forget that. I'm going to church. Like, I'm not going to let what he has done and said and announced deter me from going and taking the sacrament and being here, being there. And while everyone's going to come chat with me and talk with me and ask, what's happening? I didn't care.
Well,
But I was 40 and you were 10.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter at what point in life. The thing is, that is actually, I don't mean to sound corny here, that's a gritty decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. It is actually a courageous decision to be like, you know what? I'm going to it's called duck feathers, right? Like ducks have water repellent, feathers. So you just let the geese roll off their
phrase. Yeah. Like water on a duck's back. That's right.
Water on a duck's back. So I always say duck feathers, right? Because it's like, you know what? That's a courageous step to decide. Like, hey, I'm still going to live authentically, whatever, let it roll off
It's
the back.
like a permission slip to make choices that you've always wanted to make, but we're too scared to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Whitney's over here doing it as a little kid.
But this is the layers of mud. And I'm not the only one, by the way. You guys all have experienced this at some point in your life where you start hiding the gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start caking the gold. It can be body image. It can be, maybe even something where you feel like your intellect is not where it needs to be, right? Like I struggled in school. I was come to find out, I might be ADHD. I don't know, but my mental health nurse practitioner has been talking to me a lot about me having ADHD. And I'm like, holy crap, like I think I might have it. But
Superpower.
I was never great in school. And I really suffered in school. I had to really pull myself through.
Well, but you were going through a lot.
And that was part of it, right? Like when you're in survival mode from such a young age. So, fast forward a little bit, I'm 16 years old. And the decision to be emancipated was actually a very easy one for my dad. He understood.
He knew you were capable.
Yeah, he knew that I was kind of, unfortunately, grew up very young. And so, for my mom, she didn't want me. So it was easy for her. So honestly, it was truly easy.
He probably thought you would be safer.
He did. He knew that I was better off on my own than, and the reason I had stayed with my mom, my mom lost custody of my sisters at this point.
Wow.
They were living with my dad. And so the reason why he was so okay with it is because he knew I was a survivor. Like he knew I could do it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, public school systems don't allow emancipated minors to participate.
What?
So yeah, you'd get kicked out of high school. And so shout out to the principal at the time. He basically said, we're going to act like this never happened so that you can keep going to school. And he and I were buddies. And so, shout out to him. Talk about like people along the path, right?
Yeah.
So, I was always a pretty active member of like the community. So I was a tennis player. I, participated in student government. I wasn't a part of student government, but I was friends with all of them and I'd help them with all their events. So I'd, participate, but I just never wanted to be home. Right.
Yeah.
So I threw myself into things with people and connection because I didn't get connection. Cake on more layers. Right.
It's interesting though, because did you say this in the last podcast where you say creating connection?
Yes.
It's just in the disconnected
in
world.
an increasingly disconnected world.
Yes.
This is also a skill that you learned early on.
But think about it. It was a survival skill that I had to learn
Oops.
because I didn't get any kind of love or connection at home. Right. And I don't mean to sound like boo-hoo, but I'm trying to explain how I started chipping away at the layers to start seeing some gold.
You knew the layers were there to chip at. That's what's so fascinating to me is that you saw the value, even though you weren't quite sure. Like, I'm sure you couldn't articulate in that moment, oh, I am going to school later, earlier, all day, whenever I can, because I need connection.
Right.
You were probably like, I'm lonely or whatever, right? Or I was too
Exactly.
scared to be at home. But this is something that your brain is learning at such an early age. And then you've continued to grow that desire and that strength. And it's fascinating because you do it so well.
Well, and I think that's the gift, right? I feel very, very blessed that I have the mentality that I do, and I'm not perfect at it. It's kind of a muscle, right? But it started out as a survival tactic. And for those of you out there listening that, people are like, oh, you're just like unrealistic. You're always too positive or whatever. Like you're not being real. Sometimes that is a survival technique because the real is too hard.
Yeah.
And so then you go into this alternate, universe, so to speak, in your mind of like, okay, how can I envision my life in a better way? And that's the life I want because the reality is too tough. Right. And so
reality will stop your momentum.
right.
It will stagnate you. It will discourage you.
Right. But that's the hard part is balancing. You need to balance the reality with the vision, right? Or your goals, your mission, right? Instead of just living in the stars, you also need to be grounded too and understand.
It's like the manifesting.
Yep.
You have to manifest and you have to work.
Yep.
You have to have the vision.
Exactly.
And get the hard work done.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think that's the gift part, right? Like from a young age, I was predisposed, you guys talk a lot about your faith. I am a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that we all have this spirit that is predisposed to certain skills and gifts, right?
Yeah.
As you guys do believe as well.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I had to learn from a very early age is, hey, you need to understand what the story you are telling yourself is, right? And I have a degree in psychology, so we learned that tactic a lot, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I learned that without even knowing that was a thing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was the gift, right? So I talk a lot to people in general. I do a lot of public speaking and I do a lot of, speaking in general. I just talk a lot.
You're in good company.
Yeah. I feel really well connected with you guys here.
It takes one to know one, right?
Exactly. But ultimately, like I realized, hey, you've got this fork in the road, right? So when I became an emancipated minor, the event that led up to that was I was locked in a closet. And people are going to be like,
why?
what the
Are
heck?
you getting there?
Yeah, I'm getting there. It's just a little tough, like every time I tell a story, it's like, okay, I can say it, but man alive, like I get goosebumps. And
here I am like, come on, Whitney, like give it to us.
No,
sorry.
it's a powerful story.
It is.
But it's powerful for a reason.
it is, it's powerful, it's painful.
Yeah.
Because I look at that 16-year-old girl and it just makes me feel like
You're a mom now.
I'm a mom now. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you couldn't dream of doing to your daughter what was done to you.
Exactly. It's painful, right? And it's one of those things where I share it because I know that there's a lot that others can learn from it. I know that there's a lot that I have learned from it and it continues to inspire me. So what had happened was I was a night manager of a Costa Vida, as I mentioned. I was a high school tennis player. I was also in high school. And I would get home every day, and my mom was in a very toxic relationship at the time. And again, I stayed because I always felt like I needed to be there for my mom. I felt like if I were to leave, she already lost the custody of my two younger sisters. So if I were to leave, that would be a very bad outcome for her mentally. I just never felt like she was mentally stable to handle it. And it was interesting because, I've worked with a lot of counselors in my time, and they said, well, you felt like you had to be the parent. And that was so true.
Yeah.
We can get into that a whole other time. But I got home and it was about I think 1 a.m. I had to balance the books, at Costa Vida. I had to close up shop. I had to make sure the food was, was taken care of, all this stuff, right?
Get your homework done.
Yeah. I still hadn't done my homework. And so anyway, I get home at 1 and we didn't have food. So I brought some food home and there was no food in the house. And I was just so tired because the second I walked in, I was berated by her and this girlfriend. Like I mentioned, she was lesbian. And so they were just drunk off their butts. And it was like, I was just so sick and tired because this is a common occurrence. I was just so frustrated at this point.
You were actually literally just tired to begin with.
I was exhausted.
Like physically tired. And then to be met with the emotional exhaustion is.
Yep. And I remember I'd just pull up into the driveway like, who am I going to get today? I just never knew. I never knew what I was walking into. And that day ended up being one of the most pivotal moments of my life. I walk in and they're like, where the F have you been? And I'm like, I've been at work. What do you guys do? I was sassy back to him because I was fed up. I was like, you guys just sit on your asses all day drinking? You know, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, and I was so upset because I had it, you know, at that point. And I'm missing a lot of details, a lot of dirt covering the gold, right? But at that point, I had snapped. I was like, that's it. I get a laundry hamper, load up all the booze in the house, and then I go and smash it one by one in the driveway.
Expensive too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking like big bottles of booze. That's like $50, $60 a pop, you know? And again, we didn't have food in the house. We had alcohol in the house, and it drove me freaking crazy. And so anyway, I went and smashed every single one in the street, and that set him off bad. And, you know, I probably should have, well, no, I should have done exactly that, you know? But
Maybe you should have run away after.
I know, maybe I should have been like, you know, maybe methodically plan this so my bags were packed before. So then this didn't happen. But anyway, so they get upset. They're like, get out. You're done. You need to leave. So they're like, go pack your bags. So I go upstairs in my room. I'm like facing my closet, starting to pack my bag. And the next thing I know, I'm in the closet, like my face flung into the closet, and I felt a foot in my back. And they had literally, have you ever seen the show or the movie 300 where the king of Sparta like kicks somebody in the chest into this dark pit?
That's what it felt like.
That's what it was. Like, I just got kicked in the back. And all of a sudden, like, I had one of those closets where I had like a shelf and then like the metal bar underneath it, the metal bar above it.
Oh yeah.
I hit that shelf like
yeah.
right here, my jugular.
Oh, so it was not even a walk-in.
No, it was like one of those that like kind of like closes like this. And so,
sliding doors.
yeah, like this
It's a tiny
what do you
closet.
call that?
They fold in and
The
out.
fold in and out. Yeah,
Oh.
folding doors.
Yeah.
And
So a
so
lame closet.
yeah. And so I get kicked in the back. I'm in the closet and I'm like, what the? I was just like rocked. No idea what happened. I didn't even know at the time that I had a black eye. Don't know where I got that from, by the way, still to this day. So I'm in the closet and I'm like, what the heck? So I go to try to open it. Like, I was so bewildered. I was also like, I had fire in my throat, like, because that thing just
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
choked
hurting
me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? What just happened? You know? So anyway, I go to try to open the doors and I can't open them. I'm like, what the heck? Like, they wouldn't even budge, guys. Like,
So
I
what
don't
did they
even know.
do to lock?
I still don't know to this day.
You can't lock those with a lock.
No.
They
And
trapped you.
that's why this metaphor is so crazy,
I didn't
right?
know that.
Yeah. So that's something we hadn't talked about. It was just the physical, like, mechanical aspect of the doors. Like, how do you lock those? I go to like try to get
Pull it
myself
open,
out,
yeah.
try to pull it open. I can't get it open. So I'm in there for about 2.5 days. And I just sat there and I cried a lot at first, and then the tears wouldn't come anymore because I was so severely dehydrated. There was nothing. But it is amazing how much you can cry and then stop crying and then make more tears before they run out.
No way.
Like, that was something that I thought of. I was like, how long can I cry until the water doesn't come?
Because that's all you had to think about was just sitting there by yourself.
Sitting there. And in this, like, you could see the light, you know, underneath. I knew when it was daytime. I knew when it was nighttime.
Was there not any kind of well check on you?
No,
The school didn't, because you're an emancipated minor. Take care of yourself.
not yet.
Oh no,
I wasn't yet.
I
I just was like, does nobody care?
No
You know?
care.
And it was that moment I was like, man, I feel alone, you know? And so going back to building connection in an increasingly disconnected world, right? I craved not being alone. And that got me into trouble. It got me into trouble with boys a lot in high school. It got me into trouble in being in relationships, even in my adult life, where, you know, I've been in 2 marriages, you know, and I probably would have chose a little differently. You know, I'm lucky to have chosen what I have now, you know, and I've learned a lot.
Thrown into like one of your worst fears.
Yes.
Literally.
And it's that fear of abandonment, ultimately, right? And so when I was ready, I'm in the closet, I'm crying, and I was thinking, I'm like, okay, wait, 16 years old, you have a choice, right? This fork in the road. You can either let this define your life and you can go down a really bad path and be who they are saying you are.
Prove 'em right.
An F up. I'm going to get knocked up early. I'm amounting to nothing, right? Like, I just have this like monologue in my head of all the things that were said to me. And I'm like, okay, I can go down that path and be exactly who they want me to be, you know, prove them right. Or I can choose for myself and do something different, right? The story I'm telling myself is I am not going to allow this to define me in a negative way. I'm going to let this define me in a positive way. And so that has always been a pivotal moment for me in my life. And then from there, I became an emancipated minor.
Wait.
Yeah, stop.
How'd you get out of the closet?
Wait, no, stop. Hold the phone. This is where we're going to stop the podcast.
What?
Yes, because it's a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
This is a cliffhanger, so everyone wants to know she's stuck in the closet. It's been 2.5 days. She's got no more tears left to cry. She hasn't eaten in 2.5 days. She's had to go to the bathroom in the corner of her. Is it your own closet?
Yeah, it was my closet. I had to use the restroom in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that's where we're going to leave it to keep you wanting
You're
more.
mean.
I know. And I also had to go to the bathroom.
Speaking of which, where's a closet?
I know. So you guys, tell us what you think. What questions do you have for Whitney? I know they're coming in. They're pouring in. You want to know what happened after she. Yes, you are that interesting. Because
So interesting.
if you can see what we're seeing, she has built, along with Mark, a freaking palace that is here to help people and bring connection and help people through their medical journeys and their PCOS journeys and their weight loss journey. What other journeys? I mean,
Hormones, mental health.
all of it.
Sundara is the yin and the yang of health, the mental and the physical.
Yeah.
It is. That's what it is.
It's the mind-body connection.
Yep.
We learn about that in weightlifting and like when you're squatting a whole bunch or you're benching, if you think about the muscle that's actually being worked while you are lifting and you're actually thinking about it, it grows bigger.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's
Yeah.
like this mind-body connection. But we're going to leave you guys hanging. Let us
So
know what you
rude.
think.
I
Yes.
want you to know that I did not certify this decision.
She didn't see it coming.
Carly's like, I emancipate myself from this decision.
I just hate it when I'm listening to a good podcast and like, and in episode 2, and I'm like,
Yes.
what?
Yes, but it's all, yeah, we're going to do this.
That was actually pretty good. None of us, by the way, none of us knew Julia was going to do that.
They had coming. But I've been watching the clock and I've been also watching my drink that's empty because they, you know.
She needs a refill of Diet Coke, y'all.
So we will be back. Ava probably needs a little tending to, or is she asleep?
I haven't held her yet. I'll go do that.
Let's go give some baby some loves.
Yes, and we will be back. Let us know what you think. And again, we're so thankful to Sundara Medical Clinic here in Bluffdale, Utah. Check this place out. They are on Instagram. They have their own website. It's like a quick hop off the freeway and you are
So
there.
quick.
It is so quick and it's
It's
beautiful.
such a good location, right
Yeah.
at the.
It's right across the street.
You
from
could see
Snell
your
Grove,
Utah
right?
County,
That way,
Salt Lake County.
that's what we're talking about. Stone throw. That's the way.
Yeah.
Stone throw off the freeway. Hop, skip, and a jump away. Skip. Oh, I like
Right at the foot of the mountain.
Yes. All right. Check out Sundara. Is it sundaramedical.com?
Yep.
And as well as on Instagram. And then there is, what's your Instagram?
Whitney_vibes.
VYB?
VIB.
Oh, yes. VIBE.
Yes, I like all the good vibes.
Because she also does eyebrow tattooing. Did we talk about that on the first podcast?
We did a little bit.
So she does, permanent makeup and for lots of different body parts. We're talking lips and eyebrows.
All of them, basically.
Rita areola tattooing for mastectomy patients.
Yep. All of it.
Scar revisions. All kinds of fun stuff.
Wait, what's a scar revision? I'm stupid.
It's like when people have like a giant scar, right? I had somebody who had a big scar underneath their arm from slicing it open. You can just kind of like pigment color it in and kind of
Okay.
get it to match. I don't do that too often though, because if people go out in the sun,
What about like for keloids?
there's stuff you can do with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what a keloid is?
That's a tumor, isn't it?
It's a raised scar.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's more prominent in African American people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. Ask us your questions. Give us your prediction of what happened to Whitney in the closet. I don't mean to make fun of it at all, but like seriously, I'd be like, eat my popcorn. Like,
We're not making fun of Whitney's story.
No,
We're making
this
fun
is
of
bad.
Julie doing this to you.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm only at year 16. Oh my gosh, it gets juicier.
yes, stay tuned.